All right, what's up, everyone? I know I am extremely late with this. I'm sure everyone's already reviewed the movie and already seen it, but I figure I'd do my own anyway. Why not? So, I just got done seeing Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. I did not have high hopes going into this movie. I was like, why this? Why is this being made? Is this really going to be any better? Than the ending that they left us with Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls. It's really going to be any better? And I'll say this: it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Like just from the previews, I thought I was like, "Oh god, this is gonna be horrible." It's not as bad as I originally thought that it would be, but I don't know if it's really that much better than people are probably gonna give me shit for this. I really don't know if it's that much. I think I actually, oh my god, I can't believe I'm saying this. I think as an overall Indiana Jones movie, I think I actually prefer Kingdom of the Crystal Skull over this movie. Oh man, I'm sure. I'm sure it was like, oh fuck this guy, he sucks. Uh, it's just I don't. I okay. First thing I'll say is that I liked at first like when I heard that there's a segment of him being de-aged. I'm like, I don't know how that's gonna work. It worked well for the most part. The only thing that threw me off a little bit was sometimes like the animation of it, like it almost looks like a rendered cutscene from a video game, like obviously like better than the Indiana Jones like game I played in the past, but it kind of was like similar, it was like almost like an Indiana Jones video game cutscene. Just like some of his eye movements were a little bit weird with the de aging, and his voice too. Like it was weird because like oh like yeah, that looks just like young Indiana Jones. Then he opens his mouth and it's, it sounds like old man Indiana Jones. So it's weird. It's like I mean once you get used to it, it's okay, but it's a little bit weird like that whole flashback that they show like why like how he got the dial, why the the bad German guy. I don't know if I could even say the other word for what they are. Why the bad German guy wants it, and and it shows like the relationship between him and this other friend who eventually is the father of the daughter is the father of the woman who's the female lead in this movie. It's Indiana Jones's goddaughter. And then after that, I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. That was just like a classic, moment from Indiana Jones. He's he fights a big guy on top of a train and almost gets hit, almost gets killed a few times. It's like a classic moment there. And then it pans to present day. I think this movie takes place in the 60s. Because Kingdom of the Crystal Skull took place in the 50s, so I think this is like early 60s, early to mid 60s. So and then it pans to him. He's half asleep on his couch, and then it's just like he's in this like shitty apartment, and I was like, what the hell happened? And then you see on there that he's him and Marion are getting a separation. And I first saw that I was like, really, they're doing this again? Like, this is what the second or third time where they're like, oh well, it's like we know they're gonna be together. Why are you separating them again? Especially like after you left it off in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, you're gonna separate them again. And be like, oh, will they? Won't they? It's like we know they will. Like this is the second or third time this has happened between these two. It's like that's always been his main romantic interest, and I don't know why they keep doing this, like where it's like, oh well, they're together. No, they're not. They hate each other. No, then they love each other. It's like, why do this? Like, just like have them be together. Why? What is the big deal with about that? And it kind of did the same trope that I've been noticing a lot with modern movies, especially when they bring old franchises back, like Indiana Jones and Star Wars. They kind of have this. I call this the broken old man syndrome, which I'm sure it's not like a unique thing, but it's kind of similar to like with Luke Skywalker, where I mean, obviously, not everything's gonna be hunky dory. I'm not saying that I want a cheery Indiana Jones where he's gonna be like, "Howdy, folks," I'm gonna crack my whip a little few times, do a flip. No, I'm not saying I want that. I'm just saying that why do we need to continually break down to like I don't get it, like because I mean I will say it's not as bad as like how they broke down Luke Skywalker and he's like an old broken man in the Last Jedi. It's not as bad as that, but you still see little hints of that there, and I didn't really like that. It's like really, and that was just like another way to bring him down. So he's retiring finally. I thought I was like, damn, he should have been retired, but I guess guess it's good to keep your mind active, but it's just so funny. Like he's teaching the class, and no one gives a shit at all about what he's saying, except of course, the goddaughter who's who was gonna go with him on this adventure or whatever. And okay, so the thing is, another thing I had trouble with was her motivation, right? So her name's Helena. I think her name is Helena. The name of his goddaughter. It was really hard for me to find her motivation, because at first she seems like, oh, it seems like part of her wants to just like get the dial together, just like for her father's legacy or for his research or whatever, which I get. But then there's like another part where it's just like, no, I'm just in it for the money. I'm just in it for the money. I just want to sell it. I just want to sell this shit. And I mean, obviously that's a front, but it doesn't really explain why she wants the money. I don't know. It's like, I think it would have been better. She wasn't bad. She wasn't the worst, like female lead in Indiana Jones movie. That credit goes to, I don't even remember the actress, but the one for Temple of Doom, she was god awful. She was just screaming, oh my god! That's all she did the whole fucking movie. So she's not as bad as that one, and at least she's competent. Because I mean, I always get tired of the typical female leads where it's like, oh, you need to save me, and I can't do anything. So I mean, I do like that she is competent, but I just have a problem with a little bit with her motivation and like the writing with her. And then it was weird because then they seem to focus on this one CIA agent who's like, because the doctor, so the same doctor who was the evil German guy who was after the dial, he's in the United States as like a top researcher or whatever, and he's credited with getting the astronauts on the moon, which I will say is kind of accurate, because especially post World War II, they brought in a lot of evil German scientists over here. The government did use them and use what their knowledge and stuff. It's kind of creepy and scary, but that's another rabbit hole. But yeah, they use like a lot of they hired a lot of those scientists and learned a lot of stuff from them. The government did anyway. But so it makes sense that they would be in this doctor would be in the United States. So that like he's like showing her the dial and shit, and she just like up and takes it, and like, oh, screw you, Indy. And I was like, oh god, here we go. And then like these people die. they kill these people in the office, and Indiana Jones is like calling the police, or he's trying to call the police, and then somehow he gets blamed for it, which is like, why would he get blamed for it? He called, and I don't know. And that was never really cleared up anyway. Like, they're like, oh, you're wanted for murder and stuff, but like that was never even cleared up. They're just like, oh yeah, you're wanted for murder, we'll just use that to get you out of the country, and then we'll never bring it up again. It was so weird how they did that with that one there. So then they like capture him, like the doctor wants to find out where the dial is and all this crap. And then they like try to go through this whole parade. It's another chase scene, classic Indiana Jones chase scene. He's like riding a horse through a subway and shit. Oh, and then okay, so then like they all three, the bad German guy shows up, and he's like, this is my property, it belongs to me. And then she's like, no, it belongs to me. It's like, why does it doesn't belong to any of you? I mean, it's a typical line that Indiana Jones says, was like, it belongs to nobody, it belongs to a museum. Seriously, it doesn't belong to anyone. It doesn't belong to the bad German guy, and it doesn't belong to the daughter of the guy who was obsessed over it. It doesn't belong to her either. So yeah, so then after that, like, she gets away and she goes to where was I want to say Morocco, but I might be wrong. I think it was Morocco. I don't think it was like Turkey. I think it was like Morocco. And she goes and like tries to sell it. Oh, and then we run into an old character, Sala, which is cool to see. It's so weird to see like everyone's like all old and shit. It's like, damn. But it's cool to see him come back. So she's like trying to sell this thing off on this black market. And, he catches up with her and he goes there and he tries to take a dial. Another fight ensues. Then I don't understand. Well, I guess, I don't know. I just think it was like, because then there was like this kid who was the cashier, not the cashier, but I don't know. He was something over he was like the one like not ticketing. I don't know what the hell he was. He was like guarding the black market thing. And like then like he tags along with them for some reason. They don't really explain why, but he just tags along with them as they try to find the tablet or whatever that will lead to I don't know. I mean, I don't want to recap too much of it, but it's just the one thing I'll say is that I like the beginning and I like the end, but the middle part I feel like just goes on for too long. Like I just feel like the pacing in the middle went a little. It was a little bit more slower paced in the middle. I don't know. Well, not slower paced. It just seemed to take more time, like in the middle. I don't know why, but just like the middle is just kind of like you could have cut some stuff out. And then oh, this is another thing. So they go on this. They find one of his old friends on this boat, played by Antonio Banderas, and the bad German guy ends up, like they dive into the sea, get that tablet, bring it up, and then the bad German guy is there waiting for them, and he's asking Indiana Jones to read the tablet to him, and Indiana Jones is like, no, I'm not reading that. Fuck you. But then like he shoots him. He kills his friend. He kills his friend and like 2 or 3 other guys, and then like they manage to escape because Helena like blows them up with dynamite. And then like on the boat ride like to where they're going next, she's like, yeah, always use dynamite. Yeah, we did it. Yeah, I showed them. And he's like, and then that's almost what he said, exactly what I was thinking. He's like, my friend just died, and she's like, oh, sorry about that. It's just like that's part of the issue I have with the writing there too. It's like, why? I mean, I'm not saying that she like obviously she didn't know the guy, so she wouldn't be super sad, but it's just like his friend just got killed in front of him. She's over here jumping and skipping around because she outsmarted the bad German dudes. Like, okay, like it's like why? Yeah, that was another instance where I was just like, really? All right, I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, I don't want to recap the whole movie. I'm trying to think what else kind of like stood out to me. Oh, okay. So she asks him, she's like, oh, well, what would you do if you could go back in time? And he's like, I would tell my son not to go in the army. And then like she's like, oh, well, he did it, because to make you proud or whatever. He's like, no, he did it to piss me off. So okay. Mutt Williams is not a good, well, he's okay, but he's not, because that's another thing. I also watched Kingdom of the Crystal Skull last night before I went to bed, because I kind of wanted to do like a refresher, because it's been so long since I had seen it. Mutt Williams is not an amazing Indiana Jones character. He's not a beloved Indiana Jones character. But I didn't like the way they kind of just wrote him off. It was just weird. Like, so like you bring Indiana Jones even down lower, so he loses his son because he gets killed, I guess, in Vietnam. And then his wife leaves him because she's, the grief is just too much, and then it breaks them up. Even though it's just like, I don't know. Maybe I guess I could see that happening with some people, but just like, wouldn't that bring them together more? Because they both lost their son. It's not like she just lost her son. That's another thing I don't get with the writing there. Is like, I think that that would have brought them together more, but I don't know. Maybe not. But that was just like, really, we're gonna bring him down another peg? Like, it's just weird. I didn't like how they wrote him off like that. I just thought that was really weird. And then the other part I liked was like when they did go back in time, but it was like the wrong time, and Indiana Jones was like telling them like, you got the wrong time, idiots. And so he ended up back when the Romans were trying to take over Syracuse, which was pretty cool to see. Like, that would be pretty cool to go back in time and just see big historical events like that just unfold. Like, I think that would be cool. Like, obviously, like, you shouldn't be able to like mess with history or the course of time or whatever, but like, it'd just be cool if you could just observe it. But yeah, and then like he ends up getting shot and he like wants to stay there, which I could kind of see, but just I guess I could kind of understand why he'd want to stay there, because he really has no motivation, because they took everything away from him, so why would he want to go back? Like, they took away his son, they took away his wife. He's in a time where he doesn't feel like he fits in, even though they kind of redid that with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Like, whereas he kind of, I feel like they kind of did the same thing where he just like, he feels like out of place. Now obviously he had more motivation in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but I kind of feel like that it was kind of that same thing where he's like a man, like society has moved past him. Like, society is like fascinated with space, and they're fascinated with the future, and while he's still just like looking at the past, which is understandable, because considering like his current state, it's like there's really not much to look forward to, so all he can do is look back at the past. But yeah, what was I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh, so like when they go back in time, that was pretty cool. And seeing Archimedes himself and them actually talking with him. And it also explains how he gets the watch, because I guess he had like his corpse. He had like a few watches and shit. Oh, and then in the ending, they bring Marion it back. You know, I guess like she's like, oh shit, he got shot, and she went back to there. But and then like they bring them together again. It's just like we already did this. Like I just feel like I'm just the biggest thing. I'm. It's like I said, it's not a horrible movie. It's not the worst thing ever made. I know some people were like saying, "Oh, this is freaking awful." You know, it's not the worst thing ever made. I don't even think it's the worst Indiana Jones movie. To be honest with you, if I were to rank all the Indiana Jones movies, I think personally Temple of Doom is the worst. I do. I think Temple of Doom is the worst. Um, just because like that female lead was so annoying. Like I don't know. In my opinion, I'm sure there's people that love it. There's people that probably think it's best. I don't know. In my opinion, Temple of Doom is the worst one. In my opinion, I wouldn't say this one. Yeah, I wouldn't say this one's the worst. I would say that this is second worst, second or third. I don't know. I'm really kind of debating between that one and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. But yeah, so they did the same thing. Like, oh, Marion and him are together again. It's like, oh, for the third time. It's like we knew it was gonna happen. Like that's why I'm just saying. It's like why, well, not complicated. Why draw it out? We know they're gonna be together. So stop doing a like will they won't they thing. Like we know they will. So yeah, that was just one thing I didn't really like about it. But I think that's the biggest thing I walked away with is like, did this really need to even be made? I mean, I know like there's a good portion of people that weren't happy with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but like at the end of it, what he's married to Marion, he has his son. You know, it's just like what other level would you want to end him at? Now he's lost his son, but he's gonna get back together with Marion. But who knows? Next week they might fight over pizza or something, and then she'll leave him again. You know, like I mean, obviously it wouldn't be that trivial. I mean, it was a pretty serious, but like it just seems like there's just I don't know. That was just one thing I was like, really, we're doing this? But that's just the biggest thing I wonder is like, did this even need to be made? Like, what did this really add into the Indiana Jones franchise? I mean, I guess time travel. The Germans is like I understand why, because they're the main antagonists, which is like we're doing the Germans again. Like this is the fourth time he's fought the Germans. But I don't know. I guess either it'd be Germans or Russians. So like they already did Russians in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, so I guess they felt they had to go back to the Germans to end it off. I really hope this is the last one. I mean, I love Indiana Jones, but no, don't make any more, please. I think this is the final one. But like, I just have a feeling that they're gonna reboot it some way, or they're gonna make her the next Indiana Jones, or which I guess it would be okay, but if they wrote her a little better. But I don't know. I just like just end it here, please. You know, we don't need any more. But other than that, that's just the main thing I was wondering is like, did this really need to be made? So, in conclusion, I know this is all over the place, but I was the thing that was kind of for me, or kind of not good, was like it was too long. I feel like her character really wasn't written that well, like her motivations and even like her reactions to the things going on around her, like his friend dying and she's over there jumping and skipping that they got away, which I understand, but it's just like his friend just died in front of him. Her motivation and a little bit of the writing of her character was kind of bad. Trying to think what else. Harrison Ford didn't do too bad. I mean, he's a seasoned actor. He knows what he's doing. He didn't do too bad. Trying to think what else. What else was... I feel like that the middle was a little bit too long. Like, you could have cut... Like, this movie's like 2.5... Well, it's like 2.5. Well, it's not... I guess it's not as long as a lot of other movies, but I just feel like this was just too long. Like, they could have cut it. They could have cut some things out. Especially that middle part. The end was cool. I like the end, like, where they're going to that battle. And yeah, I mean, and that's just another thing is like, what did this really add? Like, was this really needed? Did this really need to be made? And I don't know. But I will say that, like I said, I think that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is actually better. I know people are going to give me such shit for that, but that's just what I think. So I just figured I'd just give my thoughts, right out of the theater. Just post, literally recording this right now in the car right after. So I just thought I'd give my thoughts over it. Take it or leave it, I guess. But anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I definitely enjoy reviewing stuff from time to time. I don't think I'm going to make it a main thing, but if it's something, that I've seen and I might want to, give my thoughts about it, I just thought, why not? But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy and I hope to see you next time. Thank you.